I wanted to share from maybe a familiar passage. I don't know, some of you guys maybe have not heard it before, but it's a story of a man named Mephibosheth. And I'll just read it in chapter 9. It says, David said, "Is there still anyone who is left of the house of Saul that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake?" And just some context real quick. David is on the throne. He's the king. And Jonathan, who was his best friend, has now passed away. His father, Saul, has passed away as well. The kingdom's been handed over to David, and he's looking around going, how can I show kindness to my best friend? How can I show him that I really, really love him? And so there was a servant of the house of Saul whose name was Ziba. And when they had called to him to David, the king said to him, "Are you Ziba?" And he said, "At your service." And then the king said, "Is there still not someone of the house of Saul to whom I may show the kindness of God?" And Ziba said to the king, "There is still a son of Jonathan who is lame in his feet." So the king said to him, "Where is he?" And Ziba said to the king, "Indeed, he is in the house of Machir, the son of Ammiel, in Lo-debar." And there's some backstory to this man whose feet are lame, but essentially when his house was being attacked, his servant fled with him when he was a child and dropped him. So he's no longer able to walk. And so that's the only real descendant of Jonathan that David knows of. And it says, the king sent and brought him, verse 5, to the house of Machir, the son of Ammiel from Lo-debar. And when Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, had come to David, he fell on his face and prostrated himself. Then David said, "Mephibosheth." And he answered, "Here is your servant." So David said to him, "Do not fear, for I will surely show you kindness for Jonathan, your father's sake." And understand, he came expecting Jonathan to punish him because his grandfather previously had been the one who had attacked David's kingdom. So he's thinking, I'm being beckoned here because David's going to put me on trial and put me to death. And David flips the script and says, "I want to show you kindness. I want to show you kindness. For your grandfather, you shall eat bread at my table continually." And he bowed himself, verse 8, and said, "What is your servant that you should look upon such a dead dog as I?" And I just want to take that scripture this morning and kind of implant it into our hearts and minds of what Christ has done for us. You know, the work that he's given us in his grace, that we have the privilege to come to his table. You know, we are in a sense lame. I have been called that on so many levels, in so many different contexts. Maybe not lame in the feet, but gosh, an ability to follow God, an ability to do what he's asked of me. My weakness, and in my, I would say even in my approach to God, my fear of him at times because of the things I've done, the things I'm ashamed of. And God calls me, he beckons me to his table. And rather than punish me or scold me or lay into me, he shows me his kindness, his favor. That you're my son, that I love you. What you've done, it doesn't matter where you've gone. It doesn't matter who your father is. It doesn't matter who your grandfather is, your heritage, your background. What matters is that I am the king and that I have favor on you today. And that's where we stand, you guys, this morning as children of God, in the gracious hands of a Father who loves us so much, who gave us his son so that we could come to the table. And we get to come to the table this morning with the understanding that at the table there is bread, at the table there is wine, at the table there is recognition of Christ's sacrifice for us, his body broken for us, and his blood spilt for us on our behalf. And that's what we think of. I want to encourage you this morning as you're praying. We're going to sing a song. We're going to worship. The ushers will pass out the communion for you guys. I was reminded by Kevin, if you need a gluten-free cracker, they're up front as well. You can come up and get that. But otherwise, you guys can stay seated and just worship. Just think on that kindness that God has shown you. The last verse, I love this. It says in verse 13, Mephibosheth dwelt in Jerusalem, for he ate continually at the king's table, and he was lame in both his feet. So there's always a reminder of our need for God, our desire for his work in our lives, but we get to today have the access to the table of Christ, to the table of his work in us. And that's what the bread and the blood represent, right? His work and continued work in us this morning.